Hello and welcome everyone on another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Mohammed Adil with us, and you will see a great dynamics of researchers, industry, and everything in today's conversation. Just to give a brief introduction about Dr. Adil, he has done his bachelor's in technology, BTech in genetic engineering from SRM University. For masters, he joined University of Sheffield in UK and did it in molecular medicine and experimental medicine. For PhD in life sciences, he came back to India and did it in the collaboration with B.S. Abdul Rahman, Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, and IIT Madras. Then he did MBA in international business from Pondicherry University, PG diploma in James Lind University, Switzerland, and a lot more many things. And presently, he is associate professor at Aarupadai Veedu Medical College and Hospital, Vinayaka Mission Research Foundation, Pondicherry, and also is CEO of Ganeshan International Incubation and Entrepreneurship Center. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. Adil at the platform. And Dr. Adil, we start this conversation always that how and when you decided to become a researcher.
Greetings to all who is listening to the program. So, as researcher is like a fantasy, basically to say when you are in school, people get excited. So my people used to have whenever you have a dream of doing things as a part time. So people go for collecting toys or coins or stamps. So I had a type of collection where I did collected like a forensic based items. So I used to collect all the insects, stick it in my book, and then was kind of mad running behind and all these things. And another thing was that so our parental, most of the years it was we were studying for my program what do you call that MBBS preparations. So we were most into this preparatory part of medicine here and there and whatever it is. So from class 9, class 10, class 12, so we had all my teenagers gone into the coaching centers for this medicine. So that's where things went out of hand. And so I was in rank, what do you call that, waiting list of 8th rank for JIPMA basically. So I missed out JIPMA by 8 ranks, so on the waiting list. And then that's where I decided that, so why not think something different after my dad said, so anyways doctors are going to work and they are going to work for the lifetime of treating patients. So my dad mentioned it because he really told me in a way that why don't you do something that other, even whatever the doctors are working out, they can get things only from you. Because he worked in a pharma company called AstraZeneca. So that's where he prognosed me to have this kind of a concept. So why not create something where doctors will start using your products? So this is where my insect of research and fiddling with research, fiddling in medicine started with.
So if I get it correct, it's like guiding the doctors to perform their duties, or at least helping them or assisting them in curing patients. That's a great perspective to give and start with.
Yes, perfect.
So let's start with the journey from genetic engineering to molecular medicine and experimental medicine, which is more of the translational, work.
Yes.
Then coming back to India. So bachelor's in India, PhD in India, and a master's in UK. So let's start the journey of India, UK, India, the factors involved in making these decisions.
Actually, it's not India, UK, India. There are few more countries also in between this. So I started my bachelor's in genetic engineering from SRM. So that was the first of a kind course in India. So where we were taught mostly by this medical and dental professional people, as well as the people from veterinary sciences and other disciplines of science. So basically, our course was more towards the orientation of medicine rather than a normal traditional biotechnology degree. Now, whatever the biotechnology courses the students are studying now. So this
Uh-huh.
is the students which they study now are more oriented to this mass transfer, thermodynamics, and all this various allied things. But the degree which we studied was more focused towards the medical program kind of a thing, which not just medical alone. It can be veterinary medicine, it can be human, it can also be into plants and so on. So it was kind of co kind of a thing, and we did learn all this physiology and anatomy and all this kind of things as well. So now I don't think AICT will also permit students to learn, go and touch a human body. So
Uh-huh.
while they are doing their bachelor's program, and while I was studying itself, like we had a crush in SRM that, so we did not have any kind of program out of this. We had only masters in, like MSc. So after BTech, so we did not have exact of the program in India. So
Uh-huh.
after MBBS they had course, or after BSc they had course, not after the BTech. So there was a kind of a schedule that it's either do something here or get out of India. So
Uh-huh.
that's why we moved out to University of Sheffield, and I had a craze of working inside the field of stem cells. So I
Uh-huh.
think 2007, 2008 is where everyone wanted to work on stem cells and cloning. So that's where I also went to UK, and then 2007, and so started my stem cells program and all these things over there. So my program was on I was working on mesenchymal stem cells thing, like isolation of mesenchymal from bone marrow of human. And then we used to do this all assays like chondrocytes, adipocytes, osteocytes, and all these things with determination to see how the elongation of telomerase activities happen in primary cell line. For example, if you
Uh-huh.
look at cancerous cell line, they don't have restricted kind of cell growth. So while you look at the primary cell line, you do have this passage 3 or passage 4 itself. They used to die and all these things. And we wanted to see that so cell lines, so mostly mesenchymal stem cells are they could be like pluripotent as well. So we
Uh-huh.
wanted to see the pluripotent features of pluripotent stem cells as well as the mesenchymal stem cells, and we wanted to see how the cells grow. So such that we could utilize it in various other projects. So we used prion protein. So we worked with scurvy prion protein as well as the normal prion protein, and then there was a compound which was made by the chemistry department of University of Sheffield, and this project was sponsored by AstraZeneca, basically.
Uh-huh.
So purely AstraZeneca sponsored project. So it was among the collaboration of 4 to 5 departments in our
Uh-huh.
university over there. So I was working on the Malanby Center of Bone Biology over there for some time, and then uh, it was kind of good, and the results were up and down and so on. So things were up and down as well as with my professor as well. So I'm a kind of a guy who all normally like what you call that. Thing is, now none of my students do that, and I
Uh-huh.
used to literally fight with my professors.
Uh-huh.
That's one of it's not an ideal thing to do for a student with a professor, because professors they need what they want. It's not something that students decide what they want, basically. So this is
Uh-huh.
what I learned from my bachelor's as well as my PhD or my master's, it whatever it was. And my guide during my master's was Dr. Ilalia Berentono. She was I think now at present she is the head professor of Milan Center of Bone Biology and Aging Studies and so on. She is kind of one of the prominent mentors for translational medicine in UK
Uh-huh.
and stem cell biology in UK. And good, the things were like literally fine. And then she asked me to go to Imperial College London. So I started my PhD in Imperial College London, which things did not work out for me due to the
Uh-huh.
sponsorship details and scholarship details which I had. So I was under the MRC fellowship. Being a Indian, getting an MRC would not be an ideal.
Uh-huh.
So BBSRC, it's MRC fellowship is BBSRC fellowship is for overall, but the MRC fellowship is only for the European and the British students. So I was asked to pay the difference of fees, and then things did not work out for me. That's the reason I came down to India.
Uh-huh.
So I worked 1 year in Imperial College. That was in the bone osteoblast, blank Lidan, and all these things. Then after coming down to India, so I started working in a pharmaceutical company as a product training manager.
Uh-huh.
So I used to train medical representatives, sales executives, and so on. Also decide what are the products to be on the platform for selling in the market. So
Uh-huh.
along work with the compliance, regulatory, and all these things in India. So I was working with that, and things were good. and I wanted to have another change because things became a little bit more hard for me, as if like I was taking care of four states of southern states of for the marketing, technology advancement, research management, and all these things. So which was not feasible for me. For example, like I used to have a breakfast in Bangalore, lunch in Kerala, Cochin, and then dinner in Chennai. So things were not really ideal after they cut down the budget. So flying was fine, but after cutting down and coming down in train, and it was not ideal. So that's the reason I went again to Max Planck Institute, Heidelberg. So there I worked for 3 months over there. So Heidelberg Max Planck Institute as a fellowship scientist over there. So I just went for 3 months, and then came down to UAE University Align. So where at Tawam Hospital and John Hopkins in the Center of Health and Medical Sciences, I worked as a research assistant over there in UAE University. So that's where I started working in the tumor microenvironment and immune checkpoint inhibitors and all these concepts. So after that, I worked there for around like 6-7 months or so, and then came down to India. And then in between, like I had completed my management degree, and that was in international business. So while I was in the management field and so on. So after coming inside the what do you call that PhD program in BS Abdurrahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, I scored this one. What do you call that Maulana Azad Fellowship? I was awarded with Maulana Azad Fellowship because I had been cleared with the net LS, JRF, and SRF. So that was one of the thing, and the other thing I would like to mention is that, like, as I did complete my masters from UK, even though like I had the first mark in what do you call that cancer biology and toxicology in Pondicherry University, government university, they did not give me a position because they felt like they couldn't give my this one, what do you call that, a position in PhD in Pondicherry University due to the difference of education years. So in India, they want only 3+2 or 4+2 or something. At that time, now they are been admitting students. So that time it was different. Mine was like 4+1.5. So it was kind of different for them, and so they felt it. We don't give to this kind of students who have this kind of degree. And even though I think many who study from UK do suffer in this kind of things in government universities. So after that, like I started working out. So I was awarded the Maulana Azad Fellowship, a national fellowship from UGC, and then I was also awarded with the DBT Serb, DST Serb, sorry, DST Serb of 36.5 lakhs and something. That's where I made a collaboration to do my PhD from IIT Madras. So I had a guide from IIT Madras, Dr. Madhulika Dikshit. She was one of the gem of a person who helped me out to complete my PhD. So she was the one who guided me for all the activities, like the labs which were not available at the time. Also, she provided me the labs over here in India to do all the studies and all the experiments, flow cytometry, and everything. And even she helped me. She mentored me basically to how to collect the samples of patients, because I used to go collect samples from human blood, basically like patients suffering from breast cancer, patients suffering from colon cancer, and patients suffering from head and neck carcinoma. So it was kind of a thing that I used to collect blood from Pondicherry, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College. That's where I had the approval, and then I had to get that blood within 4 to 5 hours to Chennai, and I used to process the blood at Tanuvas, which is at Madhavaram. So where they used to provide me with flow cytometry and all these things over there, and then after processing it, then bring it inside the Cancer Institute and then into IIT, and then run the other tests and assays, and then come down to Crescent. So it's like literally like travel and the stress of work. So which I don't think these days even my students even don't try to do that. So that's how we used to do all these things. So we were like more studious. Rather than more studious, we were more dedicated to the work. We were not studious, we were more dedicated to the work.
So
So that was the
yeah. So now we have couple of questions to talk to, and I would like to take this moment to tell all the audience and viewers that now the questions which we are going to discuss should be used for most of you, and some of you might have already figured them out. But today to start with, we'll talk about the student PI relationship. So Dr. Adil has mentioned about the differences so he mentioned about Dr. Madhulika Dikshit that She has mentored him to do all the good things, and trained him the place where he is today. But there are some disagreements with some other professors, where he worked in Imperial College London, Heidelberg Institute, Johns Hopkins, have done so many of things. So now the first thing to ask, Dr. Adil, what difference you have seen in the PIs in India and outside?
I don't know how to mention it because I worked with professor of citizens, like professor from Italy, basically, like I told you, in UK, and then I worked with American professor as well. I worked with a British professor as well, and then I worked with proper Middle Eastern professor from Palestinian, British Palestinian professor from that was in UAE University, and then I worked with proper Indian professors in Crescent as well as in IIT Madras. So the concept is my professors were good. I've been like kind of seeing of others, not my professors. I have been lucky to say that I'm in a good phase of terms. I did have misagreements and disagreements and all these things, and I was kind of controversial. I was kind of mischievous. So those were things in student life. It happens, but thing is how things are taken up. So the professor in abroad, what they do is they don't come and fiddle you. So basically, it's that they see the work is getting done. If not getting done, they literally make you a scumble up, basically. Like even the professors which I worked in India are been trained from US, basically both the professors. Dr. Nizar Ahmed as from Crescent, he also has some publications in Nature Immunology and so on. And Dr. Madhulika Dikshit, I think most everyone knows in India. She's kind of a big personality in India as well, and she has like big papers in very big journals and so on. So everyone has been trained in US, and the mindset of US will obviously there. But when you look at professors, especially who have been never been moved out of the country, that's where I don't feel that it's kind of naive for them to be like this. So stating that they tend to utilize the students rather than teach the students.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend before doing what do you call that before registering with the professor or anyone, suggestion is that first evaluate about the professor, then go and join. It's not something you just see the professor is good, just blindly go and join.
Mm-hmm.
So he or she has all funds, all grants, and thinking about your funds. Basically, like if I just go and join in this under this professor, and he has DBT grant, DST grant, and so on. Like things doesn't work out like that.
Mm-hmm.
So things are not the same with everyone. So that's the reason I mentioned that first educate yourself about the professor rather than the work which has been done. Then
Yes.
you select the work.
Yeah. And here we have mentioned this couple times, and I think we will keep on talking about this a number of times, that when you want to join a lab, always try to hear from the present as well as the past students about their experiences, because you obviously are not going to follow anyone's experience in person, but there will be a mismatch around all those different students, what they have felt at different point of their time, because you are going to spend a good amount of your time. It can be 3 years to 5 years for PhD, A, with this professor, and B, with the lab environment. So these are the two things which are so crucial that if you are not vigilant enough, then this can backfire in so many ways. We have seen in recent times that people are backing out of their PhD after spending 3 to 4 years in there, where they could have been awarded, but just because either it is the toxicity in the lab environment or the toxicity in the relationship of the student and the PI. So, as Dr. Adil said, always try to go for the understanding of the person instead of just looking at funds. That a person might have funds of all the world, but you might not be able to work with them, and it does not make anyone less either you or the professor. It is just about the two of you cannot go together for a long time. And I think that is the one thing which you should be thinking as the first thing. So now
I would like
talking,
to mention
yeah,
here one more thing.
please.
It's not just the professor which we research or something. It's also the luck, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the luck. So luck also matters a lot over here. So I do know a professor. So who was kind of very good and all these things with the one student. And for the other student, he never even gave a reference letter when he moved outside. And things is that like he couldn't even complete his PhD on time. He took really like 7 hours to complete, 7 years to complete his full time PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in a phase where within a month itself he had a kind of white hair on the white one side of his face, the
Oh.
stress level.
Mm-hmm.
So thing is, it's not what do you call that? It's not the honeymoon period always.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why when I mentioned that same professor can have different relationship with different students, and you have to figure out your niche, that how you are going to get along with that professor. Absolutely. Following that, now we will talk about the work life balance, which now in India we started talking about that for mental health and work life balance in PhD students, or in general for the researchers. What are your experiences in India and abroad, and what will you suggest for the like young researchers?
One thing is that uh, you mentioned about the work life balance, right? I think I had only like 4 hours or 3 hours of time to sleep, and that too we used to sleep in the lab. When I was working in UK under professor, like I literally did not go home for past 7 days. I think for 7 days or 7 8 days, I think I slept only for like 2 hours or 3 hours. That's it. Maybe that was like eyes were closed automatically. That's it. And it was confocal microscopy, live microscopy, and all these things. And we used to sit in the because the microscopy and all the instruments used to get really warm at the time. And then the AC will be around like what do you call that, nearly to 12 degrees and 14 degrees or something. And I used to sit just with a lab coat and normal dress. So that's what I was like wearing and all those things. And literally what happened was like the ice when we used to come out of the lab. So the eye was like after looking at the bright light from the microscope, or maybe like working continuously in the cell cultures, laminar hood and so on. So life is not the same what others experience. So maybe like this would be related to most of the people who have worked in the cell culture and microscopy, I would suggest. So you would be like putting your full time, and then at the end of the day nothing, you will get the zero result or something. So it is upon you that how you make things, because what happens is now I feel that I can do things in time and work accordingly and all these things when my students are working. So while I was working, so I used to see as if like 24/7 I used to work. So if it is human sample or something, and I need to process that sample within 24 hours, or else the sample will completely go into waste. And getting that sample would be really tough. And sometimes the blood which I used to get from patients, so this week I used to get from patient, and next week the patient would expire. So getting blood will be again a problematic thing, and the tissue would be problematic thing. So things were like so tough that uh, we used to do 2 or 3 persons work at the same time. And now what I see from my students is that they are kind of lethargic. They don't want to do all this kind of work which is like troublesome herculean task for them. They just wanted to do a simple task with their laptops, do some what do you call that immunological mapping and studies using this bioinformatics studies. So they used to code and they used to do some Python study and just complete the work and then try to leave. No one was to get inside the wet lab basically. So this is how the students they are now these days. So one or two comes inside. Again, what they happens is like they see they work for 1 week and then they lose the interest in that. They are not kind of focused on this is how I need to work and this is how I need to take it out.
Yes. So now we'll talk about the experiences. So once you get your PhD, it is successful. Okay. But now what Dr. Adil also has just shared with us is like sleeping for 2 hours every day for a week is traumatic for most of us.
No, no,
And
I did not mean to sleeping for 2 hours per day.
mhm.
The I mean whole week 2 to 3 hours. Whole week 2 to 3 hours only I slept. So we used to drink around 10 to 12 cans of Coke, at least 12 to 15 cans of Red Bull, and then the espresso coffee shots from the library. And we used to run have food in the hospital. That's it. This is how we worked.
So 2 to 3, 4
two to
hours
three
in a
hours.
week.
So the eyes automatically closed, or else we would have not slept for that also. So we were like mad idiots. We don't know what we are doing, and we were completely out of sense.
So now I will talk about this and then we'll come back to that. So here, traumatic versus pleasing or soothing. It is you who decides which path you want to do for your research. The decision of yours decides you. So how I can see Dr. Adil is like, still happy being active researchers in academia industry everywhere, and mentioning of sleep of 2 to 4 hours in 1 week. I cannot even imagine. I initially thought that it is about 2 to 4 hours every night, which is still, you know, traumatic for me. But now there are two ways how we can see that a person is enjoying the research so much that they somehow just forget that there are other activities to do, sleeping, going out, hanging out with friends, and any other social life for a week. It is justified probably for them. But if a person has responsibilities at home or want to enjoy the life their way, absolutely it is again up to them. So you are the one who make this decision for yourself that sleeping for 10 hours a day is helping you or sleeping for 4 hours is helping you. Whatever makes you happy. This is the crux line which we brings all the time, that follow your passion, do the things what makes you happy, because at the end of the day happiness is what we all pursued for, and we should be working towards that also. So Dr. Adil, now let's take the work life balance to the next level. You have worked in industry as well as in academia. How you have seen these two places different in terms of work culture and with the term in terms of work life balance.
One thing is that I would even say this one. After working in industry, I did the same mistakes. So while I was in industry, I was working in Della Pharmaceuticals. It's one of the reputed companies in India, a pharmaceutical company. So I used to see my fellow mates used to work just on timing. They used to come at morning 10, punch the card. They just come out of the lab by 5:36 at the max. They'd never work out of us. What we used to do at research is that we work and try to replicate things. These guys in the industry, they know what they are doing, and that's where we also see that this is what the instructions begin. That was one of the thing that which helped me out to curate myself in working in my PhD part. That was one of the thing. And second thing is that during my PhD hours, so morning hours the lab used to be like really busy. So what we used to do is we were nocturnal at that time. So we used to come in the night. So we used to get our complete results, everything done. So we used to, if you look at IIT Madras Biotechnology Department, so everyone used to be like kind of buzzing even at the night, even at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Everyone used to be buzzing at night. Even the canteens were at full Zoom, and we had a good time during that. All our nearby, what do you call that, researchers and so on, everyone used to come along with us, and we did spend good time with them. So this the culture of life was good. So we we need to understand what we need to do and how we need to do. So that's where things matters. You will have stress. Stress is there everywhere. So the one I was getting scolding, now I'm scolding others. So the life also changes. So now I am also into management of an institution itself. So I take care of the institutional activities also. So managing an institution also matters a lot. So where I also manage various professors and faculties under me. So the life is not the same always. This is what I tell my students also. So what you are now is not the same thing what you will be doing next. So it's what you need to decide also doesn't work out. So still you try your best such that you can succeed in most of the way. And being a researcher, I would tell all my fellow mates who are coming up, as well as my, what you call that, my juniors and so on, just see what options you have, because doing a PhD thesis, it's not something you work with research alone. It's something what you learn in life.
Yes.
Basically, how you work in lab teaches you how to work with your environment which you are developing for future. So how you conquer your problems, how you conquer your politics, how you work with the environment, what you get specifically. So this is what teaches in PhD. So PhD is not something you finish your degree or PhD thesis and leave. So this is the experience what you get. The experience is where I did see few students who were into the verge of suicide and all these things during their PhD time, even their masters and so on. But I would seriously recommend these kind of students that life is not always same. Even your days, I mean, today it's not the same and tomorrow it's not the same. So everywhere you do have this peak. So it's log, lag, and log, stationary, lag phase. So this is what happens for the life also. So I would suggest you is think positive, life will be positive for you.
Nice. So you just briefly touched upon some sensitive issues which we try to talk about. Now, if a person is going through depression, and let's talk about mental health and its importance in research field. Mental health is important for everyone as a human in general. But now when we are talking about researchers where there is a lot of failures or challenges, I'll say the roadblocks are there almost every single time. When you mentor your students, so from a mentee to a mentor, when you were sleeping 2 to 4 hours for the entire week, and now when you have students, what are the lessons you have learned and the suggestions now or recommendations you make to your students and to the researchers at this platform in general?
My suggestion is basically that take life easy. Don't
Mhm.
stress on something that which has been, if even if I stress on you something, don't stress upon it. So take life simple and take it easy. That's what I even explain to my students. And I even tell my students, get out. So go roam, because what happens is once if they are into this stressed out environment, they go into the field of they habit of liquor or narcotics and all these things. I would suggest don't ever consume all those things, because that will take you again more into depression.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even touch that. Whatever the stress you are into, whatever you may be incurring into, because things would be like, even if you look for even if you are working in abroad, most of the labs we did have what you call it, weekend parties. So evening, even our lab mates used to work in our university pub. So even though I don't drink, most of my colleagues and fellow mates used to drink. So I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of a guy who used to run on Red Bull and coffee. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So life is not something that you can stress on yourself. So I would really say no to whoever who's trying to move up, is that just forget your smoking. So if you just walk outside any labs, I would say even your lab, in any lab, take I don't mention on to mention any lab, there will be a corner where any student or professor will come for a puff, and they used to get mingle around and just puff around. So I would recommend even try to avoid puffing, because you are spoiling yourself. Even your nicotine will go and trigger your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the level of nicotine in your body also matters a lot, where the stress level also induces due to nicotine, as well as your liquor, whatever you drink. If you are consuming it, do it in a what do you call that? What do you call that? A knowledgeable way, or maybe like the way you know you can control it and so on. Don't go excess of that, and this could also lead you to unnecessary adults and things. So that's why I would recommend not to go for those things. And I would state something like, go for good buffets. We used to go for Chinese buffet, so we used to fill ourselves till we used to vomit.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to go in a different state of complete into what do you call that, a different state, where we used to go in kind of dizziness after eating so much. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe like we used to go for trekking, so we used to go for this Upper Durban Valley, Peak District, and so on. And then from Lake District, sometimes even used to go to Scotland. We even went to Shetland Islands. So we used to get on till the bottom of the peak where the sea is touching. We used to go watch puffins, whales, killer whales, and so on. We used to enjoy watching that. So this will create a good vibe among yourself. So this, for example, monthly once, even the money is that you need to manage yourself. I don't mean that research scholars are kind of rich.
Mm-hmm.
So what we used to do is, like, we used to take book in advance. We used to have this mega bus, mega train, and we just paid like £1 or £2 for the ticket, and we used to stay in youth hostels. So it's upon you that how you manage your trips and so on. And even in India, you can just go to Kerala also in budget. So luxury always doesn't mean that you should be living your life in luxury. Even the life, if you try to go in other, what do you call that, pathway where you are exploring, this would also
Mm-hmm.
teach you how to manage experiments properly.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Dr. Adil has mentioned out a few very important points, which I think is very, very crucial for any researchers. So let's talk about acknowledging the stress. Starts from there, that acknowledge that you are going through stress. Now let's see, once you have acknowledged it, you start working towards the resolution, that how you can resolve it. Different people have different ways of rejuvenation. So for someone, nature might be more helpful. For someone, exploring the cities might be more helpful. So now this depends from a person to a person. You are the one who has to decide that what makes you happy and what calms you, what gives you the relaxation. Dr.
I
Adil
would
has
like to
mentioned what.
mention here.
Yes, please.
I would like to mention here, as you had mentioned here, one of my friend was there. Forgot
Mm-hmm.
when she used to get stressed out, she used to go to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
She used to roam in Walmart for the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like walking in Walmart for 2 hours would be like my legs would be aching. She'd be
Yes.
walking to the all shelves of, I think, like, she even knows the expiry date of what are there in the every shelf of Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to go to this TJUs, just roam around in all the malls. I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
she kind of have the habit of exploring the malls, looking for
Mm-hmm.
clothing and all the things. She never used
Mm-hmm.
to buy anything. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where she used to push her stress out. So I think this is also one of the way that people used to do that.
Yes, and I believe everyone has their own way where they know that, okay, I know, but everything starts from acknowledging that, yes, I am under stress. I should get rid of it. And how, it depends. Then again, every single person is different from any other one. And they knows that what are the things which calms them and which makes them happy. And at the end of the conversation, that's what we always talk, that try to acknowledge it, because until unless you have acknowledged it, you are saying that, okay, I'm fine, where the truth is that you are not. And there is nothing wrong in accepting it, that, okay, this is the time when I'm facing those challenges and I have to work towards the solution of it. Because if there are hurdles, you have to overcome it. And that's what Dr. Adil also mentioned, that PhD is not just an academic degree, it trains you for your life. Because I have not seen a person, or I have not met a single person who can say that they have not had faced any problem in their life, or, either it be personal or professional. So we all live in a real world. It's not a fantasy land. And now when we are talking about the stress, the moment you acknowledge it, you have already kind of, I'll say that 50% surpassed it, because now you know that, okay, I need to get over it. I need to resolve it. And then you start working towards it. And I believe This is very important for all of them. And the next thing which we'll talk about now, so now we are at the edge of our conversation. Dr. Adil, your experiences about doing research in India and abroad, and I'll summarize this in a way that we have seen our young generation, the new researchers which are coming out, that they want to go abroad for, for their higher studies, be it masters or PhD. What are the things which we can offer in India that, okay, what are the equivalents we have here? And if you really want to go out, that what should be the motivation or the driving force instead of just going out of India?
Nice question. So thing is, I have spent a huge amount for my masters. So India Sheffield is not kind of cheap, being a world top 50 university also. My recommendation is that students who have passions, it's fine, you can go out. If you don't have passion, don't ever think of going abroad. So because the same concept is, in the morning you will be working in the lab, in the evening you will be also working in a kitchen.
Yes.
So that's how the life over there is. So things are not easy as you see in India. India, it's where you have been spoon fed by your professors. Over there, you have never been spoon fed. You're literally been like thrown on the Vande Bharat train or the TGV or something. So it's basically that you are literally been you are literally like thrown inside the mouth of lion over there.
Nice. I think that's a really nice way to crisp it to it. So now for all the researchers, I hope you have enjoyed the conversation with Dr. Adil, and this conversation will help you in making up your mind for your research, as well as if you're facing the challenges, then overcome to them. So stay tuned. For all the researchers, stay tuned for more episodes of Researcher Celebrities. And if you want to write to Dr. Adil, you can find him. He is all over the web. You can say, write it to him. If you want us to put you in touch with our other researcher celebrities, please feel free to reach to us, and then we'll put you in contact with them. The only thing which we'll say is that keep enjoying your passion. If research is your passion, let's celebrate research and at Researcher Celebrities. And now we'll say thank you very much, Dr. Adil, for sharing the journey and motivating so many other researchers, not only in India, but abroad also. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.